I finally finished Blood Union Part 2 and then picked up another book that made me cry so bad. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to go over the books that I had read last week. I want to apologize that this video is coming up a day late. I actually found myself sick yesterday. I don't know if it was something I ate or what happened, but I spent all my time in bed yesterday, sleeping on and off. So I didn't get to do any reading yesterday, nor did I get to do a video. So just wanted to apologize for that. But before we get into the books that I read, please make sure that you like and subscribe. Always comment down below any book recommendations or if you've read any of these books that I currently read or am reading. Also, check all of my links down in my description box below. You can follow me on Instagram, Goodreads, my Pango Books account is on there, my Patreon, and any other links that I put on there. So always check my description box as well. So let's get into the first book that I actually finished for the week, which would be Blood Union Part 1 by Vila Roth. Now, I can't tell you anything about what this book is about because we are 5 books deep and it would definitely run a lot of things, but this is a very high epic political fantasy with proper writing. So if you are not someone that likes the proper writing style or find it hard to stay within the story, this definitely wouldn't be a book for you, as well as very heavy on the politics. So if you don't like a political fantasy, again, this series is probably something that you wouldn't like. But I am loving Orthros. I am loving the fact that we are following Cassia and Leo as they are trudging through Orthros and Tenebra and all of the neighboring kingdoms, trying to find peace. Now we are on the mission to solve a mystery that just came up in this book, so I am all for that. I absolutely love the romance in here. Granted, the romance isn't very angsty. It doesn't have a whole lot of complications with it. So it's a very easy love story without very many trials and tribulations that you would find. Not really a whole lot of miscommunication or anything. So, on that, I wish that there was a little bit more tension with Cassia and Leo. Maybe some more high stakes that their love would, come across. But however, I really love the politics in this world. I'm loving the story and all of the side characters that are involved, because as we've went on book after book, we are seeing not just Cassie and Leo being the main focus, but also the cast of characters that are around them. They are like very prominent now in the books. And I did start, or I at least downloaded Blood Union Part 2. I haven't read a single word in that book yet, but that is book 6, and there's only one other book currently published, and then book 8, I think I saw somewhere, is going to be coming out, did it say May of 2024? So it's been pushed back a little bit, which I'm okay with, because with how dense this world is and how many storylines we have going, all of the political intricacies and what we are now on a mission for, I definitely want her to take her time. I do not want her to rush this 8th book. But again, if you like a fantasy romance that is, an epic fantasy that is dense on the politics, very slow pacing, and also proper writing style, you would really love this series. It is absolutely amazing. I found myself just really intrigued with the world and the Hesperines and, the different lore that comes with this whole series. So absolutely love it. Definitely gave this book 4 stars. I don't really think that I've rated any of the books under 3 stars. And I think maybe a novella or 2 I rated 3 stars, only because I'm the type of person that I want more of those characters, but it wasn't because the writing was bad or the story was bad. It's just my personal preference where I just want more. I want more of this world. I want more of all of these characters. It just has my heart. And so I'm happy that I finally finished Blood Union Part 1. So the next book that I ended up picking up, well, I had started reading it the week prior, but I finally finished it, and that is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. If you've been watching my vlogs, you know that this was my very first taste into Christina Lauren's writing and their worlds and how they, formulate their characters and their stories. And this book shattered me, absolutely shattered me. Without giving away spoilers, you're following our female main character, what's her name, Macy. And Macy is a teenager. I think she's like 13 possibly whenever we meet her. And her mother passed away. That's pretty early on, so that's not a spoiler. And her father has all of these details and rules that her mother had written down to kind of follow to make sure that Macy doesn't feel alone, that she still feels like her mom is present in her life, even though she's not. And so her father definitely takes some of the rules a little too far. There was one of them that said whenever she starts to become a teenager, if she seems stressed or distant, then take a vacation. Her father buys a weekend home 100 miles outside of San Francisco. It's a cabin in this really remote small town. And so they go up there on the weekends, and she meets a boy named Elliot who is 14 and he lives next door. They both love reading. They both, have this awkward type of social interaction, so it kind of draws them together. And you watch them throughout this story grow as friends, and then you are kind of transported back to, the now times whenever they're 29. They haven't talked in 11 years. Something happened. You find out that like Elliot betrayed her somehow, but you don't know what he did. So they run into each other. Things start happening, emotions start going within Macy, and she is engaged to be married to another guy. So without giving any spoilers, that's kind of how the story goes. You are following them in the now timeline and also looking back into the then timeline as you're watching their friendship grow. You're watching them become older teens and coming into adulthood. And then you do find out what Elliot does to betray her, and there is just a whole lot of things. I got to the very end of this book and I was sobbing. I was just very ugly, crying in my bedroom, just finishing it up. And my husband's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, this book has just ripped my entire heart out. Like, I have never felt that much emotion in a contemporary romance before. So it really, threw me off. But, it was so good. I loved following both Macy and Elliot. I loved following them back whenever they were teenagers and how they were growing and becoming friends. I also really enjoyed following them in the now timeline, seeing where they're at, seeing how their lives have developed. And it was so good. I want to say the writing style in here definitely was very easy to follow. The story was very fast paced. I didn't feel like there was any slow parts where I was dragging. So my first dip into Christina Lauren was a hit. So I need more recommendations for Christina Lauren. I don't want to pick up a book that I'm not going to like and then have a bad taste in my mouth with the author. So any books that follow something similar as Love and Other Words, it doesn't have to be dual timelines, but I like stories like this that are very gut-wrenching and heartwarming and just gives you all of the feels. So definitely leave me some suggestions down below in the comments, because I now want to read more Christina Lauren, and I definitely see why so many people love them and love their books and are just so invested with them. So definitely want to read some more, and I definitely gave this a 4-star. I didn't give it 5 only because, yes, I am still thinking about it. I gave it a 4 because there were some things that Elliot and Macy would say or do that would kind of throw me off a little bit, or like take me out of the story, or I didn't really like Macy's personality in certain parts of this story. So it was definitely a high 4-star for me. I am still thinking about this book to this day. The next book that I ended up reading was Wildlands by Stacey Marie Brown. This is book 2 in the Savage Lands series. Of course, like I mentioned last week, this is the Alpha Ho Book Club's pick. So for November, we're supposed to read book 2, and I wanted to get back into this story because the cliffhanger that Savage Lands has left me on, I needed to know what happened. And of course, we are back with our female main character. It starts right where it left off. She is back in prison, back, in the Feylands, and she was betrayed at the end of the first book. So we're following her. We're following, we find out more about this world. We find out more about maybe who or what she is, more about Warwick Farkas. He comes back into the story. I am really loving this series. I would definitely say it does not have the best writing. I feel like this writing style is very upper YA. I don't feel like it's very adult-like, which is fine. It's easy to follow, easy to be in the story. And I think the reason why I'm so invested with the story is because the way the characters are written, the way that their personalities are, the story is very intriguing, and I'm definitely still loving this. I did give it 3 stars, only because there were certain aspects of the book that I was like, how can this happen? How can she be in prison and then taken out? Prison, taken out. And I don't know, I just felt like there were a lot of plot development holes that didn't really make sense. I didn't understand why certain things were happening. I definitely am excited to continue on with book 3 in December. However, I definitely find myself not being as invested in the story as I was in book 1, and I don't know if that's just the way that the story is going at the moment, but it did leave off on a cliffhanger that I'm very intrigued about. So I can't wait to get into book 3. I feel like in this series so far, what is it, a 6-book series? I feel like book 3 needs to be a kind of a banger, if you want honesty, because, what are we going to be doing for the 3 books that follow after that? I just feel like there was a lot of things that, came about that, we've realized, and now I'm like, where is this story going to go? I'm kind of intrigued. I'm still invested. So we're going to see how book 3 goes. But book 2 was decent. It definitely, picked up, like I said, right where book 1 ended. And it did answer a few questions, but then brought on a lot more that we need to know about. So if you are on the fence of picking up the Savage Lands series, definitely know going in that it's not going to be the best writing style and definitely not going to be the best plot development that you've ever read, but it will be a story that you are intrigued enough with that you will want to continue on if you do like dystopian, fantasy romances. So the next book that's all the books that I actually ended up finishing for the week. So I did pick up 2 more books to start off the new weekly vlog on, and that is From Salt to Sky by Adrienne Lee. This isn't a very big book. It's only maybe less than 200 pages, but I decided to pick it up because I had met Adrienne Lee at Authors in the Bluegrass, and I don't know if she's going to be there again this year or next year for 2024, but I wanted to pick it up. I wanted to know what it was about, and it is about our female main character who goes to Scotland, and she is to the Isle of Skye, and she is trying to find out what happened to her great aunt because her great aunt went missing, and no one in the family knows what happened, so she goes there. She's going to spend several weeks trying to see if she can figure out what happened to her. And while she is there, she meets a few of the guys that are locals that are there to help her, teach her about, the history and show her around. And weird things are happening. She is told that she needs to read a book that's called Legends and Lovers. And she starts getting all of these visions about past, things that had happened. And so she feels like she is on the road to figure out what happened to her aunt. But some of the guys that are around are acting a little weird or, intriguing to her, and she doesn't know why she is drawn to them. That's about as far as I have gotten. This has a very gothic fairy tale-like feel to it. The writing is very lyrical. So if you don't like a lyrical story, this is probably not a book for you. I would probably say This is on the same lines as The Thorns Remain by J.J.A. Harwood, in terms of the way that the story feels, the way that it's written, kind of the lyrical and prose that are in it. So if you're not really into that, which I didn't like The Thorns Remain, but this book I think I'm liking a little bit more, maybe because of the gothic elements that are in it. It's written like a storybook in a sense. Like you're reading about a girl reading about a fairy tale is what's happening. It's kind of hard to follow along at times. I don't know if it's just because of the way that the story is going, but I have found myself sometimes being like, okay, why are we talking about this? Or where did this guy come from? But for the most part, I am enjoying it. So I do plan on finishing up this week. And finally, the other book that I had picked up to start the week off, I have the dust jacket here because I have the hardcover in the living room where I have been reading it this morning. But that is Of Shadow and Moonlight by Luna Laurier. I don't know how to say that, but this is the Bookish Box edition, so this isn't the actual cover, but I do have it in the living room, so I'm just going to hold up the dust jacket. And I'm only about 40 pages into this book, so I can't tell you a whole lot of what's going on at the moment, but you are following our female main character, and she has a health condition with her heart. She has like congestive heart failure or something like that, where she's had multiple heart attacks, has to be on medication. So she's been homeschooled, and her parents don't want her to work or anything. She did get a prognosis that is not good at the beginning of this book, but we are following her. She is in college, and she has a best friend. And her best friend doesn't know what's going on with her, doesn't know about her medical condition or anything, but she basically gets told that she has a few years to live. And so she doesn't want to be romantically involved with a guy, which I don't know if she's ever been romantically involved with any guys or really even went on any dates. That's kind of the gist that I'm getting at the moment. But she meets a guy named Damien and his friends, and her best friend is telling her that they're bad news. She needs to stay away from them. But of course, our girlie is drawn to Damien, and she doesn't understand why. So I'm wondering, is this going to be a fated mates type of thing? Are we going to be going on some storyline where if she gets with him, maybe he's going to save her from her health condition? I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm 40 pages in, so I don't know much about how the story is going to go. The feeling I get is it's very gothic, it's very dark, and it is a fantasy romance. So I'm assuming somebody or multiple people in this book are going to have powers. There's going to be some, fantastical element to it. So I'm waiting to see what happens. But I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, I'm 40 pages in. The author has me intrigued. I will say, I don't know if this is the author's debut or not, because I feel like the writing style isn't very well done. I don't feel like it is one of those where she has written multiple books and, has kind of made her writing a lot better. But I'm still intrigued as well right now because she's really hooked me on this whole medical condition. How is she going to survive it? Who are these guys? Is her best friend ever going to find out? So can't wait to continue on with this. I know that book 2 already came out this year, I think, and is From Ashes to Dust, I think, or Of Ashes and Dust. And I know that Bookish Box announced that they are doing the sequel to it. So if I like this book, I am going to pick up the sequel whenever they announce that it is open to pre-order. But I really like the back of this, and it says, "A woman fated to die, a man cursed to live forever, and a darkness that threatens to destroy everything they love." So I'm really excited. I'm going to assume Damien is probably the love interest, just the way that it's kind of been brought up. But really excited, so I can't wait to finish this book this week. So those are all the books that I read or books that I had started this week. Definitely let me know below if any of these books you have read, any of these books that you plan on reading, or if you have any suggestions on Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, any of their backlists that you think that I would enjoy since I loved that one so much. But I'm going to go ahead and leave you here. I am getting ready to head out. We are having a family Thanksgiving dinner with my extended family today, which is Sunday. We are going to be having my immediate family Thanksgiving dinner this Thursday, so we are heading on over to do that. But again, leave me some comments below. Let me know what you think on any of the books that I read, and always leave me suggestions. But until next time, everyone, I hope you have a great day, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone this week. Bye!